Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Grade 12 Mathematical Literacy online class. We are going to begin shortly. I'm just going to allow another minute or so for all the attendees to register, sign up, and get comfortable behind their screens. So please don't go anywhere. We will begin shortly. Okay, it does look like the majority of you guys are ready to get started. So let's go. Once again, welcome to the Grade 12 Mathematical Literacy online class. For those of you who still do not know me, my name is Kimberly Brits. I'm the Educational Specialist for Mathematical Literacy. Before we begin, let's just cover some basics. If you are struggling to hear me, make sure your audio is on and your speaker volume is turned up. You will automatically be muted when joining the session. Should you have any questions, you can ask your question in the question box below or on your right, or you can raise your hand. To raise your hand, click the icon on your dashboard below or on your right. Download this presentation and additional resources in the handout box below or on your right. You will also find all this information in the question box below or on your right. Please remember to send us your questions. Attendees are encouraged to ask questions and leave comments. However, irrelevant or inappropriate comments will result in the attendee being dismissed from the session. If we did not get to your question, please send an email to academics@impact.co.za. Questions in the question box will be answered and made available afterwards. If you did not receive the questions and answers, please send an email to info@impact.co.za. Then lastly, recordings of this session as well as previous sessions can all be found on Impact's website. Just go to the drop-down option that says COVID-19 online schooling past class videos. You will find all the recordings there. Okay. I trust most of you are familiar with the screen we are currently using. We are no longer doing PowerPoint slides, but using an interactive whiteboard. So I would like to inform you at this stage that unfortunately this whiteboard does not allow me to extract a PDF document. So therefore, all the notes that I'm doing on the whiteboard where I am doing the solutions to the problems, unfortunately, I cannot make it available to you due to that problem. However, the task and the memorandum that I am discussing today is available in the handout box, and also it is downloadable on myimpact.co.za. So please have a look over there. Once again, everything that I discussed today, every solution that I work through with you guys today comes exactly from the memo. So you are not missing out by any means just because you do not have the whiteboard notes available. Lastly, I am only going to be discussing one method for or one solution for each question. So if you feel like you have another alternative solution and you would like to find out more about that, you can refer to the memo. The memo does include alternative methods. So lastly, before we get started, I am going to switch my webcam off so that we can use the entire screen for solutions and calculations. And it's also just going to make the exam paper a little bit bigger so that you can read along with me. Okay. Okay, someone said that I can screenshot it. I have tried doing that, but unfortunately the quality is very bad and the size of each slide differs. So unfortunately that is not possible. However, I will continue looking into alternative methods. Okay, so all of you should still be able to hear me, but no longer see me. So let us continue. For today, we are looking at 2018 June examination, paper 2. The purpose of looking at yet another paper 2 is due to the type of questions. I am a true believer of plenty of revision when it comes to mathematical literacy, and also familiarizing yourself with different types of questions, because one topic can be asked in multiple ways. So getting to deal with many different questions, it does play to your advantage. Now, this paper, just to double check, let's quickly go back. The time allocation for this paper, you guys will see, is 2 hours. So unfortunately, we only have an hour, 2 hour availability, and due to time constraints, we might not finish, but I will work as quick as I can so that we can cover at least the majority of the questions. So the total of this paper is 100 marks, and it consists out of 5 questions. Now, with that said, let us get started. Question 1. Mr. and Mrs. Theron are retiring to Eiserfontein in the Western Cape. The house they want to buy costs 825,000 rand. They do not have enough cash to apply for a loan at they do not have enough cash and apply for a loan at ABSA at a repayment interest rate of prime plus an additional 2.75% for a loan over 15 years. And then there's this little piece of information printed in bold, not to be missed. Prime interest rate is 9%. Question 1.1. Answer the following questions about the loan. Question 1.1.1. They must pay a deposit of 14%. Calculate the amount. Okay. 14% written as a fraction multiplied by the property cost, which is 825,000 rand. So this is a simple, straightforward question, most likely some of the easiest ones that you will come across in this paper. So now if we type that into our calculator, we get an answer of 11500. I missed 15. There we go. Then for question 1.1.2, what is the loan amount? So if we've now determined that the deposit, which has to be paid beforehand, is 115,500 rand, we now take the cost of the house, which is 825,000, and from that we subtract the deposit. This will then give us an outstanding amount of 709,500 rand. This means at the end of the day, this will be the amount that is going to be borrowed from ABSA Bank. Then question 1.1.3. Refer to the table below with the factor values for different interest rates and loan periods and answer the questions. For each R1,000 borrowed, quickly read, I'm here at the bold printed section. For each R1,000 borrowed, the repayment amount is determined by the loan amount divided by 1,000 and multiplied by the factor in the table. So in general, this formula will be given to you as an equation, but for the purpose of this paper, they have given you the formula, but by describing in words what you should do. So please do not read across that. It is extremely important information. Question 1.1.3a. What is the factor of the repayment? Now, first of all, we are going to make use of table 1 to determine what the factor is. Now, first of all, we need two parts of information. First, the interest rate. Now, the interest rate in the question statement was given as a prime of 9% plus an additional 2.75%. Which means that the interest rate is 11.75%. The question statement also tells us that this loan will be taken out over a period of 15 years. Therefore, if we look at table 1, we are going to be working with the row for 15 years as that is the loan period. And then you will see in the last column, it gives us our interest rate of 11.75. And there where our two lines meet or cross is at the value 12. Therefore, the factor of their repayment will be 12. Remember, all the values on the inside of this table, they are all known as factor values. Question 1.1.3. B. Calculate their monthly repayment over 15 years. Now, at this stage, this is where that piece of information that I highlighted, the section printed in bold, where that becomes important. It tells us for each R1,000 borrowed, so that means the 709,500 Rand borrowed, for each of that, we divide it by 1,000. Okay, for each R1,000 borrowed, the repayment amount is determined by the loan amount divided by 1,000 and multiplied by the factor. So we've just determined the factor as 12. So quite straightforward, you type that into your calculator and it gives you a value of 8,514 Rand and 0 cents. So this will be their monthly installment. Okay, monthly installment. Now for question 1.1.3 C, it says to calculate the actual cost and the interest. So we're going to do two sets of calculations, one for the actual costs, one for the interest that they will pay over 15 years. So first of all, let's determine the actual costs. We are going to do that by saying our monthly repayment, which we have just calculated, multiplied by 15 years. And remember, each year has 12 months. So 15 years, 12 months for each of the 15 years. And if we type that into our calculator, we get an answer of 1,532,520. So this will be our actual cost. Now to determine the interest, we are going to say the actual amounts that we will be repaying over 15 years. And from that, we subtract the amount that we have loaned originally. You type that into your calculator, easy, and you get an answer of 823,020 Rand. Now, at this point, they can continue by asking you further questions. So just for interest sake, I would like you to take note. Over here, just going to grab another color highlighter. Over here, the cost of the house or the property that they would like to purchase is 825,000. So they go and they don't even hire that total amount. But do you see that the interest that they pay is merely the amount of the worth of the house that they purchase? So interest is a terrible thing, and if you can avoid taking out a loan, do so. If they continue to ask you questions regarding loans and interest, these are the type of things that you should pay attention to. Okay, question 1.2. Mr. Theron's son earns a gross monthly salary of 26,500 Rand. UIF is 1%. UIF of 1% is deducted. Study the salary slip for Albert in Addendum A and answer the questions that follow. Question 1.2.1. If he pays 7.5% for pension, what amount will be deducted? So first of all, over here is Addendum A. They want us to determine the value for A, which is his pension fund. And as he said, his pension fund is 7.5% of his gross salary or his gross income. So we are going to multiply the salary by 7.5% written as a fraction. Type that into your calculator and you will get an answer of 1,987 Rand 50 cents. Now just quickly a step back. Remember that your gross income is your income before deductions and your net salary is your salary after deductions. So even though this Mr. Theron earns 26,500 Rand, he does not take that amount home to spend on personal expenses. The net salary, which we will calculate a bit later over here, D, is the amount that he's going to be taking home at the end of the day. Let's continue with question 1.2.2. Calculate the UIF or the amount for UIF Albert must pay. So Albert, on his slip, you will see B represents his UIF. So B is 1% of his gross income. And once again, we write our percentage as a fraction. We type that into our calculator and it gives us an answer of 265 Rand, no cents. Okay, question 1.2.3. Determine Albert's gross annual income. Annual meaning yearly. So if Albert continues to receive 26,500 Rand for every single month of the year, we multiply his gross salary by 12 to get an answer of 318,000 Rand. So in 12 months, this is his gross salary. Question 1.2.4. Calculate his total deductions for the month. So we are now going to calculate the value of C, the total deductions. Now, I'm not going to write out all of those values, but his total deductions, you can determine that by saying A plus B plus 3,000 or 2,300 plus 340 plus 3,387 Rand and 50 cents. So if we add all of these values together, it is going to give us a total of 8,280 Rand. Total deductions. Question 1.2.5. Calculate Albert's net salary to be paid in his bank account. Now remember, as I've explained, your net salary is what you take home at the end of the day. It is after every other of your pension, your UIF, your medical scheme, your tax, all of those have been deducted. So now we go and we say his gross salary of 26,500 Rand. From that, we subtract the total deductions. We've just calculated that as 8,280 Rand. And the difference is 18,220 Rand. That means his amount that he takes home for all other personal expenses is 18,220 Rand. Question 1.2.6. Why do you think a working person must pay tax to the government? Give 2 reasons. So just a bit of interesting additional information for those of you who still did not know, but tax goes toward the government for services that all of us make use of. For example, road construction, so the upkeep of the roads, tax goes towards that. Hospital infrastructures, so building clinics, building hospitals, tax money pays that. And then also school infrastructure, so government schools, tax pays for the buildings and so forth for schools. Let's continue with question 2. Define the term tariff. Now, a tariff is the payment per unit for services delivered, including electricity, water, and telephone. So in your study guide, you will see that when we discuss tariffs, tariffs generally refers to payments that go toward electricity, water, and then telephone accounts. So that is generally where you will work with a tariff system. And tariff is a payment per unit. So the more units you use, the more you pay. It works in that sense. Question 2.2. The Thorons used 42 kiloliters water in March 2018. Use the municipal tariffs to determine how much they will have to pay in March 2018, VAT included. So guys, the importance comes in when you read a question. You sometimes lose marks because you don't read or you don't register what you're reading. So remember, we have to determine the cost for 42 kiloliters, including that. And then you will also see the table given, the tariffs exclude VAT. So we have to remember to determine VAT at the end of our calculations. It's very important not to forget that. Now let's continue. I'm just going to pull the screen a little bit to the side. Okay, so I've closed up, but remember, they used up 42 kiloliters. Okay, so first of all, you will see the first range tells you that you get the first 6 kiloliters for free. So 42 kiloliters minus 6 kiloliters gives you an outstanding 36 kiloliters. This is what they will need to pay for. Now our next step is going to be to determine how many kiloliters fall within the second range. So we are going to say 30 minus 6,1, and that means that 23,9 kiloliters fall within this range. Therefore, our next step will be to say 23,9 kiloliters multiplied by the tariff of R6.48. If we type that into our calculator, it gives us an answer of R154.87. Now, very important, instead of just going ahead and then doing this exact same step for the second range, or sorry, rather the third range, you have to have a look. This range ends at 60 kiloliters. Now, the Thoron family only used up to 42 kiloliters. So it's important to note that you are not going to pay for the entire included range of 30,1 to 60. You at this stage have to calculate how many kiloliters fall within this range. We are going to do that by first of all saying, we've already paid, or well, we get the first 6 kiloliters free. We've already calculated the tariff for 23,9 kiloliters. And then all of this, we subtract from 42. This gives us an answer of, let's quickly calculate, 12,1. So we have an outstanding 12,1 kiloliter to pay for, and the new tariff is 17 Rand and 20 cents. If we type that into our calculator, we get an answer of 208 Rand and 12 cents. Okay, so now we have officially completed our calculation towards the water that they have used. Now, the next important thing to take note of is in your table, there is a fixed payment for more than 6 kiloliters used. And there's also infrastructure costs if more than 6 kiloliters is used. So the following calculation will have to be made. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit more. The next calculation is going to be made. First of all, we are going to say 61 Rand 70 cents, which we've got over here. That's the fixed payment. To that, we add the infrastructure payment, which is 8 Rand and 15 cents. To this, we add the total, or we add these two values. Remember the two values that we pay towards the water that we have consumed. So let's say 154 Rand 87 cents plus 208 Rand and 12 cents gives me a total of 362.99 cents. Just going to write it like such for those of you who now missed what I've just done. Okay, now the last step, guys, is VAT. We have to determine the VAT because that has to also be added to the account or the amount payable. Now, please quickly take note of the following. This is a 2018 paper, so VAT at that stage was still calculated at 14%, and this 14% is also allocated or given to you in your exam paper. Please pay attention that from 2019 and even this year's papers, VAT is calculated at 15% and no longer at 14%. So for the purpose of the memos questions still being relevant, we are going to continue to use 14% for this paper, but in future for 2019, 2020 and the papers after that, please use 15%. So 362 Rand 99 cents multiplied by 14%. Now, if we type all of this into our calculator, it is going to give us a final answer of 493 Rand and 44 cents. So at the end of the day, this is what the Thorons will have to pay for the water that they have consumed. Okay. So that is the end of question 2. At this stage, I'm quickly going to have a look at the questions. Are there any questions that you guys might have about the work? Any questions? Nothing at all? Okay, fantastic. I trust that no questions means that you guys are still with me, that you have a good idea of what's going on. So let's look. Question 3. Refer to the floor plan of the Thorons house in Eiserfontein to answer the questions. Question 3.1. How many doors are indicated on the plan? So that's quite a simple question. Doors normally have this quarter of a circle shape. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Therefore, you can say the house has 9 doors. Easiest one mark that you will ever receive in a June exam paper. Question 3.2. What does the symbol A, marked A, represent? So here's symbol A, and it marks to something that we can find in the kitchen, which looks like a stove. Okay, question 3.3. What type of view is indicated by a floor plan? By a floor plan, we can say it is a plan view of a house. It is the top view of the rooms within a house. So let's say a plan view. If you give a good enough description, you will receive your marks. Question 3.4, which rooms will get morning sun? Now, this is a piece of general knowledge. Some of you might know this, some of you might not know this. So if this is the north of the house, this is going to be the south end of the house. This will be the west end of the house, and this will be the east side of the house. Now, extremely important for those of you who did not know, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So therefore, the 3 rooms that will have a morning sun, especially morning sun, is going to be the 2 bedrooms and the kitchen. Okay, question 3.5. Calculate the area of the dining room in square meters if the dimensions are 2,5 meters by 1,5 meters. Use the formula. Area equals length times width. Guys, they give you the formula. This is once again, they give it to you. All you need to do is then substitute in the information that you have. So area is the length times the width. And the length is 2,5 multiplied by 1,5. If we multiply those two values, we get 3,75. Now, here's where you guys might sometimes lose a mark. It is measured in square meters. Now, the nice thing about this question is that the measurements given were both in meters. So you did not even have to do any measurement conversions. You had to just substitute your values and multiply them. And remember, your final answer must include a unit for a mark. So even if your answer is correct, but you forgot this, you are most likely going to lose a mark. Question 3.6. One tile is 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters. How many tiles are needed to cover the dining room? Now, the dining room is measured in meters, where the tile is measured in centimeters. So just keep that in mind. The area of one tile is going to be 90 square centimeters. But if we convert that to a measurement, oh, sorry, not 90, 900 square centimeters. Now, if we convert that, we are going to divide, let's just double check, we are going to divide by 10,000. Remember, the reason why we do that, I'm quickly going to show it to you here on this side, is 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So 1 square meter equals to 10,000 centimeters. Therefore, if we are going to make the conversion from centimeters to square centimeters to square meters, we divide by 10,000, which means our converted measurement in meters is going to be 0,09 square meters. Okay, I hope all of you understood that. I think the easier route to follow is to rather convert 30 before doing the calculations. So 30 divided by 100 is going to be 0,3. So you could have rather said 0,3 meters multiplied by 0,3 meters, and then you would have avoided doing this calculation. Okay, but it depends on what works best for you. Now we have the area of one tile. So the area of the entire living room, or the dining room, is 3,75 square meters. We divide that by the area of the tile, which gives us an answer of 41,6. Now, very important, you cannot purchase 0,6 of a tile, so therefore we round it off to 42 tiles. He is going to then have 0,4 of a tile remaining. Question 3.7. Tiles are sold in boxes of 12. How many boxes are needed? So I'm going to need 42 tiles. One box can take up to 12 tiles. So 42 divided by 12 gives me an answer of 3,5. Once again, something that you should pick up on that is not necessarily taught to you, you cannot purchase half a box of tiles. I can purchase 3 boxes or 4 boxes, but I can't purchase half a box. Therefore, we are going to purchase, or let's just rather use our rounding off, I'm going to purchase 4 boxes, whereof I will have a half a box left, but then at least I will have enough boxes to have tiles for the entire living room. Question 3.8, just going to drag the screen upwards. How much will you pay if one box costs 150 Rand? So I'm purchasing 4 boxes, each at a price of 150 Rand, which means in total, I'm going to be paying 600 Rand. Question 3.9. All the walls in the dining room must be painted. The area is 8,8 square meters. 1 liter of paint covers 12 square meters. The walls need 2 coats of paint. How many liters will be used to paint the walls? Round to the nearest liter. So first step of, there are many different, you will see that the solution that I'm going to show you looks different from the 2 solutions on the memo. So there are many possible ways you can end up answering this question. First of all, I'm going to paint one wall with an area of 8,8 square meters twice. Remember, it's going to be 2 covers or 2 coats, sorry, not covers, 2 coats of paint, which means at the end of the day, I am going to paint 17,6 square meters. Now, if I want to determine how many liters of paint I'm going to require, I'm going to take the area, I'm going to divide it by the paint coverage of 12 meters, 12 square meters, and that will give me an answer of 1,466 milliliters. Now, exactly the same with that boxes question. Can I go to builders and ask for 0,466 milliliters? They are going to laugh at you if you do something as silly as that. You can either buy 1 liter or you can buy 2 liters. So in order for the Therons to be able to paint the house, they are going to purchase 2 liters. Once again, they will have yeah, it's milliliter. Let's quickly just see how many, no, liters, sorry. So once again, they will have paint remaining, but at least they will have enough paint. If you only said they will purchase 1 liter, then they would have 0,466 liters of paint, too little. Okay. So question 3, we are done. Let's quickly double check. Any of you have any questions up until this point? Okay, put your hands up if you guys are still feeling positive, if you guys are still following along. Fantastic. Remember, guys, purpose of working through these papers together is so that you can learn from how I answer the questions, and that's going to indicate to you how you should answer the questions. It's also going to help you if you misunderstood a question here and there. So please pay attention to what I am explaining on the screen. Okay, question 4. Use the information, maps, and distance tables in Addendum B to answer the questions. Question 4.1. The Therons are moving from Pretoria to Eiserfontein in the Western Cape. The distance between Cape Town and Eiserfontein is 87 kilometers. And remember, here's Addendum B. You will see that we have all our information here to the right. Question 4.1.1. What is the distance between Pretoria and Eiserfontein via Cape Town? So they gave us part of that information. From Cape Town to Eiserfontein is 87 kilometers. But then how far is it from Pretoria to Cape Town? Because remember, they are moving from Pretoria to Cape Town. So that is where we are going to make use of this distance table. First of all, we are going to say they are moving from Pretoria and they are driving via Cape Town. So if we extend these lines, I normally indicate it like so. If we extend these lines, you will see that our lines meet up or they cross in this value, 1,460 kilometers. So that means to answer question 4.1.1, we are going to say 87 kilometers plus, sorry, I nearly went over into Afrikaans there, plus 1,460 kilometers gives us a total distance of 1,547 kilometers. Question 4.1.2. On which national route will they travel from Pretoria to Cape Town via Bloemfontein? So now, once again, this is the information we have, and this map here at the top indicates all national routes. So first of all, they are traveling from Pretoria via Bloemfontein all the way to Cape Town. So the national route that they will make use of is the one indicated here in red, and this is known as the N1. Your national route 1. So that is going to be your answer. On which national route will they travel? On the national route 1. Question 4.1.3. In what color are national routes indicated? This is once again some general knowledge that you should by now know. Generally, national roads are indicated in blue. So you will see on this map all the other national routes, the N3, the N2, the N14, they are all indicated in blue. Question 4.1.4. In which general direction is Eiserfontein from Worcester? Now, quickly have a look. On this map, we have no idea where Eiserfontein is. We know that Worcester is over here. Here we see Worcester, but we don't see Eiserfontein. So I cannot use this map. At this stage, you should know to go over to this map. Now let's quickly determine here. Here's Eiserfontein and here is Worcester. Now my general directions is north, south, west, and east. So from Worcester, I'm going to drive a little bit up. So I'm going to drive a little bit north and I'm going to drive a little bit to the west. So therefore, my answer will be northwest. There we go, northwest. Okay, next question, question 4.2. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit that you can follow. The Thorons leave Pretoria at 10:45 Tuesday, 7 February 2018 for Eiserfontein. They travel on the N1 and stop 3 times. The first stop, 30 minutes in Bloemfontein. The second stop in Beaufort West for 30 minutes. The third stop in Cape Town for 20 minutes. If Mr. Theron drives 120 kilometers per hour, which day and at what time will they arrive in Eiserfontein? Show all your calculations. And then they go as far as to give you a formula, which is always handy and always great. So they tell you use the formula. Speed equals distance divided by time. Now I'm going to just reverse a little bit so that we have some space to answer the question. Okay, now first of all, our first step will be to determine if they drive straight through without stopping once. How long is it going to take them to drive from, let's just see, from Eiserfontein, from Pretoria to Eiserfontein? So we've already determined, if we use this formula, speed equals distance divided by time. They already told us that Mr. Theron is driving at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour. The total distance we calculated here by 4.1.1 as 1547 kilometers, and then the time is what we would like to calculate. Now for us to determine the time, we are going to take the distance, which is 1547 kilometers, and divide that by the speed. So if we do that, it is going to give us an answer of 12,89. And then the decimal continues. Now, for those of you who still do not know, tuck your ears between your thumb and your forefinger. The values in your decimal, this decimal, is not your minutes. That is a decimal which you will need to multiply by 60 in order to get the minutes. So, strictly speaking, this is 12 hours, and then the decimal value multiplied by 60 equals to 53 minutes. So please don't tell me they drove 12 hours and 89 minutes. That is not even possible. Okay, now let's continue with the question. They stopped an additional 30 minutes. Let's quickly get the highlighter. They stopped an additional 30 minutes in Bloemfontein, 30 minutes in Beaufort West, so that's an hour, and then a third stop in Cape Town, which is an hour and 20 minutes. So to the time that I've just calculated, which is 12 hours and 53 minutes, we have to now add another hour and 20 minutes, which means let's quickly say 53 minutes plus 20 minutes, meaning it's an hour and 13 minutes. So that is going to be 14 hours and 13 minutes. Oh, goodness, I wrote minutes backwards. Okay, minutes. Now, the question is still not answered. The question clearly asks us on which day and at what time will they arrive in Eiserfontein. So we have to have a look. They left Pretoria at 10:45. They drove for 14 hours and 13 minutes. Now, if we add these values up, 45, so it's going to be 8, 5, and 24. Now, this time indicates in 24-hour system that it's going to be 2 minutes to 1 o'clock the next morning. So they left on Tuesday and they will arrive on Wednesday morning. Okay, so that is question 4.2. Question 4.3. Give 2 reasons why they stopped in Bloemfontein, Beaufort West, and Cape Town. Now here it's a nice question where you can play around with a variety of answers. You can say they stopped to eat, they stopped to go to the bathroom, they stopped to stretch legs, or to quickly fill up with fuel. So multiple possible answers. Question 4.4. Mr. Theron's car has a fuel capacity of 45 liters. The car uses 12 liters for each 100 kilometers. How many times will he have to stop to refuel? Show all your calculations. Just going to zoom out a little bit. So first of all, the capacity of the fuel capacity is the size of his petrol tank or his diesel tank. So he can carry 45 liters of fuel. Now our first step will be to take the distance. We have our total distance as we've calculated it in question 4.1.1. We divide that by 100. Okay, because for each, the car uses 12 liters for each 100 kilometers. So how many hundreds of kilometers fit within 1,547? Our answer, we are therefore going to multiply by 12. Okay, by 12 liters. If we type this into our calculator, we get an answer of 185 and 64 liters. So that means this is the amount of fuel that he is going to be using to drive all the way from Pretoria to Eiserfontein. Now, it still does not answer the question, how many times will they need to refuel? We are going to take the total amount of fuel that they will require and divide it by the capacity of the fuel tank. Therefore, 4,1. Now, once again, you either fill up or you do not fill up. So you cannot fill up 0,1 times, if that makes sense. So we have to round our answer off to the nearest integer, which is going to be 4. Question 4,5. It's the last question there at the top. If the fuel price is 13 Rand and 45 cents per litre, how much will Mr. Theron pay for the fuel to Eiserfontein? Quite straightforward. We are going to say 4 times 13 Rand and, not 4 times, I apologize. Remember, 4 is only the times we fill the tank. This is the number of fuel or the amount of fuel he's going to purchase. So 185,64 times the cost per litre, which is 13 Rand and 45 cents. And if we multiply those two values, it gives you an answer of 2,496 Rand and 86 cents. Okay, so now we're finished with those top questions. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you guys can follow along clearer. We have about 10 minutes left, so I would like to see if we can at least just do the following 4 questions. So I apologize, I am going to rush through them. Try and follow along as much as you can. The distance between Cape Town and Eiserfontein is 87 kilometers. The purchase price of his car is 175,000 Rand. The engine capacity is 2,500 cc's. The annual distance traveled in 25,000 kilometers per year. And the petrol price is 13 Rand 45 cents per litre. Use the tables to answer the questions. So the first table gives you your fixed costs and the second one your running costs. Now question 4.6.1 asks us to determine the fixed cost by using the car to drive between Cape Town and Eiserfontein. So that means drive this 87 kilometers. Now, first of all, in the question statement, our car has a value of 175,000 Rand. And our car also travels about 25,000, which is this, 25,000 kilometers in a year. So you will see that my two values, they cross over here, where the factor is, or the factor where it is 198 cents per kilometer. Now, first of all, we are going to change this value in cents per kilometer by dividing it by 100, and that is going to give us an answer of 1 Rand and 98 cents. So no longer a cents value, but a Rand and cents value. Now, this is the cost per kilometer traveled. So if he travels 87 kilometers, you type that into your calculator, it's going to give you an answer of 172 Rand and 26 cents. Question 4.6.2. Determine the running cost by using this car to travel between Cape Town and Eiserfontein, a single trip. Now, for the second question, we are going to make use of the table 3. Now, we are going to make use of A, B, and C. The formula looks like this. A multiplied by your fuel plus B plus C. Most likely this will be given to you, but it is handy to know. So first of all, let's quickly determine what A, B, and C value are we going to make use of. Our car has an engine capacity of 2,500 cc's. Therefore, the three values we are going to use is 10,6, 29,17, and 25,20. Now let's substitute that in. 10,16 multiplied by the price of fuel per liter, which is 13,45, plus B, which is 29.17, plus C, which is 25.20. Now, if you type that into your calculator, you are going to get an answer. Let's quickly double check that for you. 10.60 multiplied by 13.45 plus 29.17 plus 25.20 gives you an answer of, remember now, the reason why I want to show you this, cents per kilometer. Now, guys, we do not use cents per kilometer, so we divide our answer by 100. Remember, 100 cents in each Rand, and that means our answer in Rand value will be 1,97. Okay, now, very important, this is rounded off, and we are not yet done with our question. Our question asks, determine the running cost for the distance between Cape Town and Eiserfontein. So this is just per kilometer, Rand per kilometer. We still need to multiply that by the distance traveled, which is 87. This gives us a final answer of 171 Rand and 39 cents. Now, our last question, question 4.6.3, calculate the total operating cost. So the total operating cost is your fixed cost plus your running cost. And we've just calculated those two values in the previous questions. So we are firstly going to say 172,26 Rand plus 171 Rand and 39 cents. And that is going to add up to 343 Rand and 65 cents. Okay, so guys, we do have about 6 minutes left. The remaining question is on probability and data handling. We can work through the first set of questions quite quickly, but I would like to see by show of hands, who of you would like me to quickly run through these questions in the remaining time? Okay, please show me your hands if you would like me to just quickly go through them. Okay, fantastic. I see there's enough hands, so I'm quickly going to run through them. I apologize if we go a minute or so over time, but bear with me. I will try to not waste your time too much. Question 5. Mr. and Mrs. Theron love pizza. They usually go to Designers Pizza in Cape Town. The staff at the restaurant try not to let customers wait too long. The box and whisker diagram below shows the waiting time at the restaurant. Question 5.1.1. Write down the 5-number summary. So your 5-number summary is normally your minimum value, your first quartile, your second quartile, your third quartile, and your maximum value. Now it's quite simple. We can read all of that from our box and whisker diagram. This is your minimum value, and this is your maximum value. So let's see. It corresponds with 12. In between 14 and 16, so that's 15, then 22, 26, 32. So that means to answer this question, our minimum value is 12, our first quartile is 15, our second quartile or our median is 22, our third quartile is 26, and our maximum value is 32. Easiest 5 marks ever. Question 5.1.2. Calculate the interquartile range. Now, your range is your maximum value minus your minimum value, but because this is quartile, meaning Q3 minus Q1. So that's going to tell us to say 26 minus 15, which gives you a difference of 11. Question 5.1.3, what percentage of clients had to wait between 26 and 32 minutes? Now, when we draw a box and whisker diagram, the box and whisker diagram divides our data into quarters. That means between our minimum and our first quartile, there's 25% of our data. Between the first and the second quartile is another 25% of our data. Between quartile 2 and 3, another 25%, and then between the third quartile and the maximum value is another 25%. So if they would like to know how many customers, what percentage of customers were between 26 and 32, we can say 25%. So 25% of our customers lie between 26 and 32 minutes. Then question 5.2. Mr. King, the owner of Designers Pizza, counted the number of people who visited the restaurant over the weekend and made the following summary. So there are 16 values given in the box below. They all add up to 167. So I went ahead and I did that in advance just to save us some time. So you will see 16 values with the sum of 167. Now, question 5.2.1 asks us, calculate the average number of people who visited the restaurant. So our average is the sum of our values divided by the number of values. So that means the sum, if we add all of the values in this box together, is going to give us a total of 167, and there are 16 values. Therefore, we divide it by 16. That gives us a final answer of 10,44. Question 5.2.2, determine the mode of the data. So our mode is the value that comes across the most in the set of data. It's generally easiest seen if you arrange your data from the biggest to the smallest or from smallest to biggest. But for the purpose, we are quickly just going to do a check, an overview. And you will find that 8 is the modal value. Question 5.2.3, determine the range of the data. So your range is your maximum minus your minimum. And in this set, once again, if you arranged your data from small to big, you would have easily seen that 20 is your largest value and 4 your minimum value. So 20 minus 4 means that my range is 16. Question 5.2.4, do you think Mr. King's business is profitable? Explain your answer. Here you can give me a range of possible answers. You can say yes. You see that the majority of the people coming to visit is more than 9 or more than 8, which means that he has plenty of customers. or you can say no. It depends. If he has a big business, then that amount of customers is not enough to make a big business profitable. Or you can say something that you do not have, you have insufficient information, but according to you, you think that he is not making a profit. So once again, many possible answers. Important part over here is to say, oh, I almost went Afrikaans again. You need to tell me yes or no for 1 mark. And then you need to give me a reason for a 2nd mark. If you only give me a reason, you will receive no marks. Okay, so that's important. Last question, guys, 5.3. Designer's Pizza uses salami, ham, feta, chicken, bacon, and beef for toppings. What is the probability of ordering a pizza with feta? Give your answer as a percentage correct to 1 decimal value. So what is the probability of ordering a pizza with feta? There are 6 possible options. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possible options for toppings. So it's going to be 1/6. Feta is 1 out of 6 possible toppings. And in order to make this answer a percentage, we are multiplying it with 100, getting an answer of 16,66. Rounded off to 1 decimal value is 16,7%. Okay, guys, that is for rushing through a paper. I'm so glad to see that all of you sticked around to listen. So please remember, if you have any questions, I hope you've submitted them so that I can give you feedback via email. And then if you are looking for additional information regarding registration with Impact, please send an email to info@impact.co.za. And then lastly, from my side, thank you so much for joining today's session. I greatly appreciate it. I hope all of you learned something, and I hope to see you all for the next session. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.